I am a son of Lebanese parents born in New York.
My identity is often questioned.
I'm from Israel, living in California.
We basically grew up very assimilated.
Pinanganak ako sa Pilipinas.
ببيان بلبنان من عمر السبع
Me
سنين.
identifico como Latina.
אני ליאור, אני ישראלי.
Mind, body, and ancestry integration. This is migration.
Hola, hola. This is Joanna. Welcome again. Thank you for being here with me today. Today, my special guest is one of my beautiful friends, Doctora Carla. Welcome. Thank you for being with us today. And let's get right to it. So, as you know, I have shared with you, I started a series collecting people's stories around their journey on how they found a therapist or how they have not found a therapist yet, or just in general about their journey into therapy. So why don't you start telling us kind of how your journey has been? Feel free to just start where your heart is leading you.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I am very excited to talk about that because that's something for me very, very important in life. I think it's to do therapy. I think just for me, at least, it's like it's a privilege and it's an opportunity to get to know myself better. And I feel like the more I talk about that with people, the more I will make the subject less of a taboo sometimes. And my journey of going into therapy, I think it started, of course, when I first moved to the United States. I'm from Brazil, and it's been a journey to get into medical training here. I graduated there and I was able to work there. And since I moved here, it was very difficult to deal with so many changes. The language, the culture. One day I was a physician back home and another day was here, just taking care of my home and now being able to work and, being financially independent. So I think I started going to therapy, maybe I would say in 2017, something like that. But it was through our insurance. And we couldn't afford paying for someone. And in the beginning, it was good. It was great. But I felt like it was very short limited. I felt like the therapists that I found through my insurance, they just wanted to say, hey, fine, you are doing well, you are not suicidal or anything like that, and you are good to go. And I just felt like I needed more. I wanted to talk more. I wanted to share more. I want to get to know myself more. And through the insurance, that was not possible. And then pandemic came, and I think the idea of having remote access to things came. So I think it was a wonderful opportunity to reach out to therapists that I could connect also better because I speak Portuguese and I feel like Portuguese is the language. And I think it was you once that talked to me about that. You and another therapist that I was having here in the United States, she was doing an intervention with me and she asked me to count. I think I started to count in English and she noticed that I was still tense. And when I started and she said, why don't you count in Portuguese? And when I started to count in Portuguese, she noticed how that was working a lot better. And that I think was the insight that I said, okay, Portuguese it is. And say, hey, I need a therapist that speaks Portuguese. And I found one, I would say in 2020, mid 2020s. Yes, and since then I've been with her, and we do our sessions weekly. And I was very blessed because it was just my first trial, and I loved working with this therapist. And it's been a journey, a wonderful journey. Like, yes, I've been getting to know myself more and work, of course, with all of the issues that I want to work with.
Wow. And with that first, you mentioned that your first time finding a therapist wasn't necessarily, let's call it, very successful, in that you didn't necessarily feel that you were having the experience that you were hoping to have. What made you not just quit and move on with your life? What made you continue to seek to seek another therapist?
So, like, my first and second experience with therapists, it was in English, and it was okay. But like, I felt that we wouldn't connect that to a very more personal level where I felt like comfortable to share. It was not even comfortable to share my feelings because I'm very honest and I'm very okay with sharing whatever I want to, but I just didn't feel the connection. Maybe I didn't feel we clicked. I didn't feel we had the same like experiences. I don't know. It was just like, I needed more. I needed someone to help me go through all of the issues that I was going, like all of those, like, Carla, like, your identity, like, I'm just adding one more identity. Like, you were the daughter, you were the sister, the Brazilian, the physician, and now you are also not working. So like, like, so I needed more help to understand these new identities that were just adding on and to accept it. So I needed help at that time. So I just kept going. Like, I'm very open to those. Yes, I know when to say, hey, I need help, and I still want to. So I think I decided, no, I will just find someone that speaks Portuguese. So yeah, I think that was it.
And what would you say helped you realize that you needed that help? I know a lot of folks that I talk to, sometimes they know therapy is good. They know that, they have heard that therapy can work. And yet there's still a lot of folks out there who don't necessarily see it as something they particularly need. What would you say in your journey or growing up, or I don't know if you grew up in a family where mental health was really validated? I know in South America, mental health is still pretty much a taboo topic, right? But I'm wondering, what do you think in your life made you know that you needed this?
That's a good question, because I'm not sure if the way I was like raised, we talk much about mental health. I'm not sure also that my parents considered that a taboo, but I don't remember if I ever had like conversations about mental health at home. But for sure, I think what helped me a lot was in med school. Like, we talk about that a lot. We talk about the patient's mental health. We talk about the med students' mental health. And I think it was during med school that I realized how important that is. During med school, I had wonderful friends that after finishing residency they were in therapy, and they would share wonderful things about that. And they became like psychiatrists after that. And like, just having those close conversations with them and see like how that can be very helpful. Like, them being psychiatrists and then them also going to therapy. I think that was like something that got my attention. I think sharing experiences, with friends was something that helped me a lot, and say, wow, like how much they're getting from therapy, and I should get from therapy as well. I think it's going to be a good something good in my life. And also just like having that, like when you talk about your patient and you see that they're struggling with mental health or they need, and like, for us, it's just like, okay, that's something that's like, as I prescribe that medication, I send my patient to the gynecologist. Why not send my patient to a psychologist as well? You know, it's like, it becomes like normalized for us. So I think it was through conversation with friends that I said, wow, it's a good deal. I think I should just, and reading, I think reading as well brought me that idea that, it's for your own, sake. It's for your personal growth. It's for your professional growth. It's for everything. I just can't not see a negative side on that. And when I was in therapy, that I had a wonderful insight regarding myself, that I said, I need more of this. I want more. I want to get to know myself a lot more. So I think that also was a great, great thing, that when I had my first insight of how I was dealing with some issues, and I said, wow, that's me. And I've never paid attention to that. Like, I want more of that. I want to start digging into those things. And I think, yes, that's what happened.
You mentioned earlier also just being like coming to this country, right? Coming to this country. And I'm curious if you were able to share with folks out there who have landed in this land, whether it was by choice or because they had to. What could you say to them in terms of how they could find a therapist, with your own journey and your own experience as an immigrant here in this country?
So something that I also would like to point out is I started therapy because I was having mental health problems from moving to a different country. I think I would say depression was it was a big deal for me in the beginning. And I self-diagnosed myself. And so like, I just don't want people thinking, oh, she had the wonderful insight that she wanted to get to know herself better. No, I was having issues, and I'm okay with sharing with those things, because I think the more we share, people will say, wow, she's like me. I'm like anyone else. I feel like, especially in my area, people they put their mask on and they say, no, I'm fine. Everything's great. Oh, how are you doing? Great. How are you doing? No, everybody's struggling. They just don't share with you. So I think that was the beginning. I needed help. I needed someone to share and, like troubleshoot things with me. I needed. And after I got into therapy and I started to deal with to get to know myself better, then the identity part came very strong. I have good conversations with my partner, and my partner also we talk about those things. So it's very, very difficult to come to a country. Either you want, or just because you were forced, you had to come to a country. It's a big deal. You don't know the language, or you're still learning the language. You speaking your own language, you're you talk very well, and then you feel insecure because it's another thing, and you keep comparing. When I was back in my country, I was able to do that. Now I feel like it's so many things. It's the food, it's the culture. It's you had a job back home and now you don't have a job here. It's so many things added to just moving to. It's not only just moving to a country. You bring so many other things attached to that I think just having someone that do understand, maybe someone that passed through this journey and do understand, knows what it is to come with all of those challenges. I think it's so important, at least for me. And it's okay to say that you need help. It's okay to struggle. It's part of moving to a different country. So I think the message I want to tell people is it's okay to talk about mental health. It's okay to feel vulnerable. You're not alone. There are lots of people passing through the same situation. And it's just wonderful to talk, to be able to have that moment where you think about you and you get to know yourself better and you get to talk about your issues and to see what needs to be improved and needs to be healed, needs to be addressed, needs to be diagnosed. I I think that's what I have in my mind. Like it's just for me a privilege. It's just a great opportunity to address all of these things that sometimes in your daily life you don't have anyone to share with. Someone you know that studied, that know what to do when you don't.
I wonder if you could share characteristics that you think that were a must for you, that can help maybe folks out there who are thinking about starting to look for a therapist or are already looking for a therapist, that they can maybe just hearing your story, that they can, take some of what you said and bring it in their search and help them kind of navigate this journey of finding a therapist.
So for me, it's very important, like language. I think you have to feel comfortable with the language that express your emotions the best. And for me, like having someone that speaks my language, it was very, very important. I think also someone that also experienced the same, not necessarily, but I think it's important. Someone that experienced the same struggles, someone that is an immigrant that knows, like everything that I've passed, and they say like, I feel you, I see you, I know what you've been through. For me, was very important. Someone just like empathetic, someone that shares my culture. It was important for me, like I connect a lot better with someone that experienced those things. I feel like, let me see what else for me was very important. Yeah, I think basically those three, like language, culture, maybe the situation of being an immigrant, someone empathetic, someone that's like connected with like the idea of identities. I think so, and having them working with me, I think that gave me a better understanding of how to deal with all of these changes and how to accept my journey, how to be okay adding more and more identities and maybe let some go. And yeah, I think that was one of the most important parts of like the journey to find mental health, like a psychologist, someone that would take care of my mental health, like help me, take care of my mental health along with me. Those characteristics were very important.
Excellent. Is there anything else that you would like to share as we close?
I think the something that I would like to share is like people that are listening to me, like you're not alone. Sometimes we think it's just happening to us. But I think the other people, things that I've seen lately is just sharing my story with other like medical residents. Like so many people struggle, so many people have insecurities, so many people have mental health, like struggle with those things and they just don't share. You are not alone. You are not alone. And it's okay to talk about those things. And it's okay to say, hey, I need help. I just want to try something different. I just need to, see what's up with talking about mental health and finding someone to share those things with. And yeah, I think for me, that's important. You are not alone.
Well, I'm so happy that you were able to join us today And I really hope you as a listener to be able to gather from this conversation what feels true to you in your heart. And that this charla, this conversation that we just had with Doctora Carla is able to nourish this journey or even empower you to start it if you haven't started yet. Thank you again. Thank you so much, Carla.
Of course, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, to hear you, to share ideas with you. It's just always a blessing. And yeah, this journey of like me finding a psychologist was great. I learned a lot, and that's something that I actually don't have a deadline. I don't have an end date to finish. I want to be inside in therapy like forever. I think I treat that as a privilege. And yes, I recomendo a todos que façam terapia. Bye bye.
Obrigada. Ciao.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this charla, make sure to subscribe. If you want more information about Mindgration, connect through the link on the description below. And join me next time in this space where we can explore how the mind, body, and soul can thrive in this adopted land called home.